Hello everyone, welcome to The Social Doctor. And this is Dr. Ayushi. The Social Doctor is a platform for the doctors, by the doctors, where we discuss journeys, experiences, and knowledge from successful medical practitioners. And today we have Dr. Neha Gupta with us. She, after clearing her graduation from Rajasthan University of Health Sciences, has practiced as a senior demonstrator in the Government Dental College, Jaipur. Post that, she moved to Australia, has cleared her ADC the examinations there, and since 2014 she has been practicing there in Australia, and currently she's in Melbourne. Welcome, doctor, to our platform, The Social Doctor. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you, Dr. Ayushi. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. The pleasure is all mine to be associated with you and the platform. And I'm really excited to share some insights here about my journey and the futures of a dentist in Australia.
Yes. So actually we are here to discuss about how a dentist can travel to Australia and be a dentist there. What are the future prospects related to it? How to clear the whole process, the journey, the examination, what to study, what not to study. So this is all we are going to discuss in this. Yeah. So a brief that you can tell about your journey, how all of this started, how, just giving a brief out of your life.
Yeah, definitely. So I moved here in 2012, so got married and moved here. And I gave my ADC examination and cleared them in 2014. And since then have been practicing in Melbourne in both the private and the public sectors.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now, if there's a dentist, freshly passed out graduate, wants to travel to Australia and aims to, become a dentist there in Australia like you, how the person should start? What will you suggest?
If somebody is willing to come to Australia to practice as a dentist, first of all, they'll have to look towards giving the exams. So there are two options. Either you can come here for like a study, so that will be obviously at a master's level. So it can be, for example, a master's in public health. So you get a student visa for a 2-year period, and by the time you can also prepare for the ADC examinations. And you have that advantage of getting some onshore experience in a dental practice, working part-time as a dental assistant as well. The second option I would say would be to prepare whole soul from India. So in that thing, the theory can be given in India, as India is a center for that. But the practical definitely has to be given in Australia. So for which you'll have to still travel to Australia. Okay. Now, once you clear your exams, you can always apply for a regional sponsored permanent residency.
Okay.
But these options are the ones which I am aware of and I understand. But if somebody is really keen to come over, I would suggest to have a consult with the migration consultant who can actually tell you more options according to your own personal situation.
Okay. So if now you have divided into two, somebody goes for masters to Australia, that's a completely different thing, then a person figures out that. But if there is somebody who plans to give examinations staying in India, how the person should plan, and what is the exam like? Just if you can give a deep insight in that.
So the exam consists of two parts, basically a theory portion and a practical portion. So the theory portion again consists of two types of questions. The first is your MCQs, multiple choice questions, and the second is your scenario based questions. And mostly the knowledge relates to your clinical subjects. So whatever you have read in your dental, degree or for your BDS degree is all we are looking at and mainly contributing towards the clinical subjects. Okay. And scenario-based question is just an implication, or I would say, an implication of that theory into a clinical-based scenario. So for the theory examination, there are a couple of books. There's actually a huge list of books which I can give it to you, and you can put up on the forum for people who want to really pursue that. But broadly speaking, vouchers, cautions, and past papers, as it is with usually all the exams. And there's also a good important book which is called as Therapeutic Guidelines. So it is being published in Australia. So it is for specifically dental purposes and gives you the guideline as to how the things are being practiced here. So I would say it's a must read if you really are looking to pass the exam.
Okay.
So that's about the theory part. Now, coming over to the practical, it consists of two portions, the technical day and a clinical day. So technical has got around 6 tasks, which involves your preparation of your class 2, class 3 cavities, your restoration task, which includes complex amalgam composite, your crown preparation for a porcelain fused to metal crown, and your temporary crowns, and an endo task as well. So that's the technical day. And then you have a clinical day. And the clinical day basically consists of your X-ray taking, LA, your fissure sealants, and rubber dam, application of rubber dam, and your communication-based task.
So about a bit about the communication-based task, what exactly do you mean by communication?
Yeah, so when I say communication-based task, what they are looking at for you in the examination is that you should be a safe dentist when you're out and about in the community to practice when you are practicing. So that what I mean by saying a safe dentist is basically two things. Firstly, you should be good on your technical skills so that you can deliver your procedure to the patient. And secondly, you should be able to communicate clearly the procedure which needs to be done and the treatment options to the patient so that he can take an informed consent about what needs to be done for him. So that's what we are looking at. That's what they look at. There are no fancy words or things which needs to be communicated. It's just your basic dental knowledge. You should have a command on your language and your basic dental knowledge, which can be converted into layman terms.
Okay. Okay. So once, so when it comes to theory and practical, you have given a depth. But is it that theory and practical both needs to be given in Australia, going there and giving? How does it happen?
Yeah, no, for the theory, we've got a couple of centers. India is one of the centers for the theory exam, so you can still give it in India. And for the practical, as per my understanding, at the moment, only Melbourne is a center.
Okay. Okay. So we have to fly to Melbourne for the exam.
Yeah, you have to fly to Melbourne. Usually it used to be Australia, like a couple of cities in Australia, but at the moment it's only Melbourne.
Okay. And when it comes to practical examinations, we as dentists understand that we need trainings for that. It's not simple to clear the practical. So how to get trained? Can you just give a brief on that? How?
Yeah. So if you are planning to give the exam from India, there are a couple of institutions which can make you prepare for it. So there is one in Chandigarh called as ODA, and that really has a good value in terms of students appreciating the way they prepare you. And if you are in Australia, there are a couple of institutions again. I can name a few, but there are many groups on Facebook where you can find the information on. You have the Royal Dental Hospital in Melbourne, which I did the coaching from. Then you've got ADA, and then you've got a couple of other guys who do coach you for your practical training.
Okay. Okay. That's really nice to know all of this information. So now when we have, for example, we have cleared the theory as well as post some training, the practicals as well.
Yeah.
How does it go after that? How, if I have cleared everything in India, how should I go post that?
Yeah. So you always have, like, in terms of coming to Australia after you have cleared, there's always an option of applying for a regional sponsored permanent residency. There is a SOL list, that is the skilled occupation list, on which dentistry is under the regional area category at the moment. It does keep changing, so I would suggest you to check at the time you are coming. But so at the moment, that is an option. And with every country, that is another option is to come as a spouse visa.
Yes, yes. Obviously, that's you need to plan your life events according to that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, yes, yes. So good. So if we come as a regional visa that you mentioned, just a regional sponsored visa, we can easily practice there, and subsequently we can get our PR as we practice. Does it happen that way?
No, it is somebody needs to sponsor you on a regional PR. So
Regional.
somebody needs to give you a job
Hmm.
so
And
that
then
you
that
can come
person
there.
sponsors you.
Yeah,
But
you can come
how
there and
long does
practice.
this go? How, one more thing, how long does this go? The
I think it
regional
goes
PR
for,
goes for
yeah,
hmm,
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
So
Okay.
when you get a PR,
Hmm.
there is a limit on that you have a permanent residency, but there is a condition that you need to practice in the regional area for 2 years.
Okay.
After that, you are free to practice anywhere in Australia. You still have your permanent residency.
Okay. Okay. This is what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So once we have started practicing there, post 2 years now, for example, I've done my 2 years of practice. So
Yeah.
what next? What are the things and what are the other ways that a person can practice there in Australia?
All right. Yep. So there are two options once you are out and about and you're all ready to go. So either to apply in public sector jobs or a private sector job. The difference in between the public or I would say a government sector job is in India we have to write the written exams. Here you can apply it just as regular on your job websites like Seek or something.
Okay.
So you can always apply through that. It's always advantageous to start with a public job first because you've got usually a good team around you, some dentists, some senior dentists, some oral health therapists around you, which can provide you good support in your initial stages of career when you do get stuck on things and procedures and
Mhm.
you'll always have that support. In terms of the private option, that is also a very good option.
Mhm.
Um, Monetarily, it is better than a public option
Mhm.
and but I would suggest again to join a clinic in which preferably other dental practitioners are also there on the site, again to get that support in your initial stages of career.
Mhm.
But it is very individual in the sense that what kind of an experience you're bringing from back home, how many years you're out from uni, so what experience you have and how confident you are as a dentist.
Mhm.
So it all depends upon that and also the region you are practicing in, the options you are getting.
Okay. Okay. Mhm. That is that's good to know. So now you meant after you have done all of these kinds of job, if somebody wants to put up their own practice, how does it happen?
So you can definitely put up your own practice that just works as a business, just as another business.
Okay.
So you should be well prepared to be a clinician as well as a business owner on the same side. So you
Hmm.
need to you need to see whether what your priorities is. But this is the best thing you would do for yourself as a
Hmm.
professional and to grow in your profession. But just have to keep in mind that it does comes with all your overheads and responsibilities.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
working as an associate is also, when I say associate, is like in a practice which is somebody else's. So
Hmm.
working as an associate is also good, is a good option in the initial years
Hmm.
because you're gaining some experience as a clinician and also you are learning the business side of things, how things are, tackled
Hmm.
and everything.
Hmm.
So that is also a good option because it does offers you a good earning potential. It's
Hmm.
usually a commission based structure, a commission or a retainer based structure.
Hmm. Hmm.
So um, so
That
like monetary wise also it is pretty good. So both
with
the
no added
options still are
responsibility.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's good to know. So now, as I know that you had moved to Australia before clearing the examinations, right?
Yeah.
You were there working as a as a senior demonstrator and as a demonstrator, and you work also helping the other dentists there. So
Yeah.
if, for example, if for any reason a dentist travels to Australia, whether for multiple reasons,
Yeah.
out not on a tourist visa, but in general they travel there to Australia.
Yeah.
Should a dentist do try to make his path more easier? What will you suggest?
Okay. So like if you have you talking about like if you have a working right over here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. If you do have a working right over here and you are preparing for your exams in the meanwhile, I
Hmm.
would suggest to work as a dental assistant in a dental clinic. That
Hmm.
will give you an insight of how things do work over here.
Hmm.
Also, it will help you with the infection control part of your examination, which
Hmm.
is a little different from India. So
Hmm.
the protocols which are followed and whatever is the proper protocol, you get a hands-on kind of an experience of it, and so you are able to demonstrate the same in the exam easily. That is one part. The second part is, again, I would suggest, I would place emphasis on communication, which is one of the major tasks. So in the examination as well, which the examiners judge you on. So communication also, you see the dentist talking to the patient in a multiple case scenarios, multiple patients. So you do learn a lot from that as well. So strongly suggest to do something like that if you can get hold of a job.
Okay. Okay. This is really nice to know, because,
Yeah.
and secondly, I believe, it pays you well as well. So that way you are able to sustain yourself also while you're there.
Yes, it definitely pays you well and you are able to sustain yourself. That's completely true. And it gives you a lot of connections as well. You tend to come in contact with a lot of dentists. And so once you clear your exams, it's easier for you to get a job.
True.
Your first job is usually the one which you get through your contacts.
Yes. So coming to this, is it difficult to get your first job when, after clearing the examinations?
Yes and no, I would say. It's easier for graduates who are graduated in Australia to get a job, again, because they have those contacts, they know their professors. It's the same way we have been graduated from whichever college. It's easy to get the job in the same city.
Yes.
But if you are an ADC grad, obviously your connections do matter, because somebody should be ready to give you the chance to start off your journey. Because without, you don't have experience, so you are going to do mistakes. I don't say that the people who are experienced don't make mistakes, but obviously there is something, there is a leeway.
Very different. The country is different. The way it works is different. Yes.
For this, I suggest that there is an option of working part-time as well over here. Like if you are taking a public sector job, you can always opt for just 2 days. So you can start working 2 days part-time in a public sector and maybe opt for 1 or 2 days in a private sector, which is not that busy. So you can slowly, hone your skills and your communication thing and your experience in the public, which is a less risky area to work in as compared to the private setup. You can always maintain a balance between the two and similar, keep on increasing your experience as well.
Okay. So, 1-2 questions more, because we have 2-3 questions to ask you. One is Dr. Jyotsna is asking, can you give information on PR if we clear both theories and practical? So maybe, we discussed that in the regional PR thing, that we can apply for the regional PR and then go further. So the regional PR is comparatively easy to apply, is it?
It's comparatively easy to get because there is still a shortage of dentists in the regional areas. And that's why they have put that on the skilled occupation list. But again, for the visa part, I would strongly suggest to have a consult with a migration consultant, because they can give you your options according to your own personal situation. So there might be other options available. This is only the option which I know. Either coming on like a regional PR, or coming as a spouse visa, or coming as like a study, on a study visa, and then going on from there, applying for your exams and then giving your exams, and once clearing them, you can then apply for a regional PR sponsor. So these are the options which I am aware of, but still you might have other options to enter the country, and they keep changing as well according to situations. Especially like at this stage with COVID, I think everything is on a halt.
Yes. So definitely, and it keeps on changing very frequently. So it's better to, to know at the point when you plan to.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's one more question of how to Dr. Shrishti is asking how to go about masters in Australia. If somebody wants to do masters, how to do that?
So when you say masters, is it masters in dentistry, like endodontics or something like that?
Yes.
You can do masters in Australia, but you will still not get your practicing rights over here.
Okay.
So in order to get your practicing rights, you need to clear your ADC exams. So even if you are planning to do a master's in Australia, you can do it as an international student. But the fee will be comparatively higher as compared to your domestic student. And obviously the intake will also be, it will be tougher to get into.
Yes.
And then you will not get the practicing rights until and unless you plan to do the masters and go back to India and then practice.
And if we plan to, if we clear the ADC and then go for masters, how are we the same, preferred candidate in that case, or is it still the same?
No, it's not similar to as an international student when you clear the ADC. If you have cleared the ADC, the protocol to getting into a master's is that you should at least have 2 or 3 years local experience under your belt. And then there is a college called as Royal Australian College of Dental Surgeons. So it is preferred to have to be a fellow of the Royal Australian Dental College. To become a fellow, you need to give 2 examinations again. It's a primary exam and then it's a secondary exam. It's a procedure, again, a 2-year procedure. Then whatever field you have chosen your interest in, like you want to do the master's in, you should show them your interest by demonstrating that you have done these many cases or procedures. Like if I have interest in prosto, so I have done these many crown preps. I'm interested in aesthetic work. I'm interested in veneers. So these are the cases which I have done. So you should demonstrate that to that particular professor you want to do your master's under, that you are an interested person who would like to pursue further study in this area.
In this subject.
So it's not like giving an entrance exam and entering into it. It's basically just demonstrating your interest, and then it's a personal thing.
So this sense is only when you are really interested in the subject and want to know more and understand more.
Yeah, then only you will be able to, be in that subject for a longer time and be able to spend a long time practicing that.
Yes. That's true. And that is what they focus on, not to just do the masters.
Yeah.
So the thing is, one more question. For practicing there after doing VDS from India, what are the primary requisite? Clearing the ADC.
Yeah.
Is there any institute best for preparation for ADC exam in India? Completely from theory to practical, is there any institute?
Theory, there are a couple of people who are giving, coaching on Zoom sessions. There is one called as Jigyasa, and there are a couple of people who are giving. Again, you can find them on the Facebook groups.
Okay.
Personally speaking, I did the theory by myself. I didn't do any coaching or anything. And I think it totally depends upon how you are in the theory part. I think, it totally depends upon your skill and your level of,
Yes. And for practicals, you have already mentioned the
ODA. ODA is good. It is in Chandigarh.
It's in Chandigarh. Okay. One more question we have by Dr. Anish. Can a maxillofacial surgeon from India directly practice, OMFS in Australia post clearing the examination?
No.
Yes.
So you need to have oral maxillofacial surgeon. So you need to have your, you first give your ADC exams, and then in the past, it used to be that they used to get an accreditation from the dental hospital to practice as an OMFS, like an oral surgeon, not an oral and maxillofacial surgeon.
Okay.
You can still do your wisdom teeth and your oral surgeries, but you can't do your maxillofacial part of it. But now, after this, I think you do get an exempt for your primaries with the Royal Australian Dental College, with an oral surgery degree you have from India. And then you can pursue your secondaries, and then you go with a degree again.
Okay.
Because if you want to become an oral and maxillofacial surgeon in Australia, you need to do your BDS, your MBBS, and then you get into oral and maxillofacial surgery.
Yes, because it's face also attached to this, so they tend to do that. That's amazing, and nice to know about all of the insightful knowledge for a dentist who wants to move to Australia. So anything, you want to tell the future, the future dentist of Australia who currently are the dentist in India and want to travel to Australia and, become like you, basically. So how will you guide them?
I would say it looks impossible, but nothing is impossible if you put your heart and mind to it. So it's a process and it's a long process. I agree. I totally agree. But if you break it down and take one step at a time, it is achievable. And it's a good lifestyle and a good earning potential as well, which
Mhm.
Australia offers you.
Yes,
But
yes,
definitely it's a big change because changing a country comes with quite a bit of changes which you have to adapt to.
completely agree. That goes through it. But yes, if it pays you well and gives you a good lifestyle, I believe that's completely
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah.
So yes, ending with one more question. Dr. Padma just asked us, what are the procedures after clearing ADC examinations? What are the procedure to work in Australian hospitals for a BDS student? So, Dr. Padma, we have discussed that there are multiple options from public to private. Maybe you can watch the video on replay and see that, because one more thing, does one more question, does going for diploma degrees beneficial, or should we prefer doing PG in India? This is something different. So we will discuss that, Dr. Siddhi, in a different session. This was more for dentists who want to travel to Australia, and I'm sure it will be very insightful for people who are planning to do that. All thanks to you, Dr. Neha, for having coming on the platform and guiding us on this.
Thank you for bringing me here. It was really nice to be on the platform and discussing things with you.
Yes, yes, sure, sure.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It was all our pleasure. And thank you everyone for viewing this video. And I'm sure it must be insightful for you. Please do share it with your friends and colleagues and anybody who you think is aiming to travel, international, and especially Australia. Maybe that will be helpful for them. Also do follow us on our, Instagram, on our YouTube. You can find all our old videos that may help you in your practice as well as in your, career in some way or the other. Also stay tuned for our future coming videos. They are really interesting and some really nice and insightful ones. Do follow us and stay tuned to our channel for some more amazing and content and amazing value coming. So thank you so much, doctor, for this amazing knowledge. And I'm really thankful for this.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.